Hello BookTube. Today I'm doing a tag Redux. This is the old school tag. This tag was inspired by Slime and Slashers. It was created by Crits Reads, and I was tagged by Alan of Big Hard Books and Classics. This tag first appeared back in April, associated with a 90s themed BookTube event. And it has since started to make the rounds again, this time associated with the 80s. So I will title this the 80s Retro Old School Book Tag with Redux in the middle. And I will leave links to Simon Slashers, Critch Reads, Alan of Big Hard Books and Classics, and my original video in the show notes down below, as well as a copy of the prompts. So what I'm going to try to do is answer as many of these questions differently from the first time I did the prompts. And hopefully there aren't going to be any awkward pauses. So, question 1. What book, author, or series got you into reading? I've always been a reader. As far back as I can remember, I have wanted books. I have wanted to read books. That I enjoyed reading books far more than doing anything else. And that was because of a babysitter. When I was incredibly young, a local high school student who aspired to be a teacher was my babysitter, and she taught me how to read as prep for becoming a teacher. But again, I highly recommend The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by John Zazurka, if you are interested in a really good picture book. Question 2. What author or book got you into your current favorite genre? So in my earlier video, I talked about the authors who got me into manga and my current interest in history, even if history is perhaps falling out of favor. But I'm going to go with science fiction for this answer, even if science fiction has definitely fallen out of favor, particularly the prose adult form. So the Conan pastiches put out by Tor in the 90s are what got me into science fiction. So as a kid, I watched the Conan movies starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and gradually, as I started to go to the bookstore in the mid to late 90s, I would gravitate towards the science fiction and fantasy section and pick up or discovered the Conan pastiches. And at the time, I really enjoyed them and picked up several. Although returning to them it wasn't last September for Sumerian September, it was the first Garba August. I reread one of them, or tried to, and it stank. It was horrific. Yeah. Number 3. What was the first concert you ever went to? Again, sadly, I have never gone to a concert. Question number 4. What band or artist do you love but never got to see live? So in my earlier rendition of this tag, I mentioned Savage Garden, who was a rock band that, or was a band that formed in the 90s and had 2 glorious albums before they broke up in 2001, in which I would have been 17 at the time, or thereabouts, 17 or 18. So it was before I was 20. But since this version of the tag is about the 80s, I'm going to go with one of the bands that I especially love from the 80s, Susie and the Banshees, which is one of my regrets that I never saw them live. Question prompt number 5. What was your favorite cartoon while growing up? So my earlier rendition of this tag, I entered He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, as well as She-Ra, Princess of Power. I'm going to go with in another direction for this one and answer Maya the Bee. It was a Japanese anime that Nickelodeon, I think, got the rights to, or somebody got the rights to, for an English dubbing. And I watched the series and really enjoyed it. And I don't know if that original version is available at all. But it was amazing. Particularly there's this scene where Maya or another character is captured in a spider's web, and it's just, yeah. Question number 6. Name a TV show or movie that is tied to a good memory. I don't really have one, sadly. Prompt number 7. Name a movie from childhood that you still love today. So in this earlier version, I did Conan the Barbarian, and Conan the Destroyer. Let's see here. Is there another movie from that time period that I particularly like? Well, there's Clash of the Titans. I really did love that movie. Also, the Muppet Christmas Carol was also one. Well, I can't really say that because I haven't watched it in forever, except for like listening to some of the songs. So let's just stick with Clash of the Titans because I have watched it fairly recently. Well, it's been a few years, but I still remember it quite fondly. So we'll just go with Clash of the Titans. Question number 8. Name your first TV or movie crush. So in my previous answer, I answered Will Wheaton, who played Wesley Crusher in Star Trek The Next Generation. For this one, I'm going to answer another crush of mine, Joshua Morrow, who plays Nick Newman on The Young and the Restless. I watched when I was like homesick from school, and my mom was watching me. She would be watching Young and the Restless. My mom loves soap operas, and Josh Morrow, fairly resembles the first guy I had a crush on when I was 12 years old. Anyway, let's move on to what was a toy you were obsessed with or collected as a kid? Again, there's G.I. Joe, and I want to expand on the Cobra Commander storyline. So, like when I was a kid, even though He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was my favorite cartoon growing up, the G.I. Joe toys were far more plentiful. I think largely because their peak of popularity was later in the 80s and early 90s compared to He-Man, which was more in the early 80s. But I could be wrong. I wonder if there's any histories of toys in cartoons. Might want to look into that. But anyway, so me and my brother focused most of our toy collecting or toy buying on G.I. Joe. He would have the Joe characters, I would have the Cobra characters. And one day around Christmas time, I got one of my Cobra Commander figures and put him on a lamp and melted him and ruined not only the toy but also the lamp. But those toys were not very well put together. I mean, a year or two of play and they would break apart. The rubber bands that connected the torso with the legs always broke apart. Prompt number 10. Name a board game or video game you associate with your childhood. I mentioned in the in my earlier version of this tag, Super Mario World, which is my favorite video game of all time. I could also mention Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, which is a video game I played when I was a bit older, when I was in junior high. I would occasionally be able to go to the computer lab at the junior high, and before school let out, we would be allowed to play a little bit on the computers, and I would always play Carmen Sandiego. But I did mention in that earlier version of this tag that there weren't any board games that I remembered playing, but there is Clue. I remembered as I was watching this video back, or that earlier video back, that I played Clue when I was younger. So we'll go with Clue. Prompt number 11. Name a clothing trend that was popular when you were a kid. Still don't remember that. I never paid too much attention to fashion. And finally, name a childhood snack or candy you wish were still made. So I'm going to go with a more savory snack rather than a candy, and that is Better Cheddars. They are little cheddar flavored crackers that were, I think, round, that I used to pick up when I was young, and I don't think they're made anymore. I haven't seen them in a while, although I don't really look for snacks or candy anymore because I basically make it myself. I've gotten into the habit of preferring to cook or bake. So if there's like I want something sweet or something to snack on, I will go ahead and make it myself rather than buy it from the store. So I don't know if Better Cheddars are still around. Although I do want to, before I close this up, answer Alan. He mentioned in at the end of his version of this that that there was a chip type of snack that he liked as a kid that he could use as finger hats. I think those are bugles. My mom really enjoyed those when I was growing up, and I think for a few years, we never saw them in the store, but then we started to see them again. But again, I don't know if they're made anymore or not because I don't really order snacks anymore. So that was the old school Redux. If you like to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged, and I will see you tomorrow with the cookbook part of my 2024 library tour. I'm going to try to film that tonight so I can get it up tomorrow because I don't know exactly if I will be able to make any videos during my normal filming time because tomorrow is one of my nephew's birthdays, and we'll be going over there to give him his presents and check and see how he's doing. So until I see you next time, BookTube, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.